Magazine television series. This week we follow the Central Pro-Am anglers to Central Oklahoma for the 2001 Lake Eufaula Pro-Am Bass Tournament. We'll be right back right after these messages.
Anglers accustomed to fishing the White River chain or other clear water lakes, Oklahoma's massive Lake Eufaula can be a daunting experience. The Sooner State's Gentle Giant covers more than 100,000 acres, and because it's fed by the Canadian and Deep Fork rivers that run through the Great Plains, it can appear like a sea of cappuccino in which it is sometimes hard to see a lure only inches below the surface. But that is the challenge facing more than 200 of Mid-America's best anglers as they gather at Lake Eufaula in mid-May for the fourth stop on Central Pro-Am's 2001 tournament trail. And no one appreciates the challenge more than defending Eufaula title holder Jason Christie.
I see the tournament as being real tough. Everybody knows there's going to be a lot of boats on the water, and the lake's got, just so much fishing area right now. It's fishing real small. The lake's about a foot or so low, and everything that everybody normally fishes is out of the water. So the lake's fishing real small, even though it's a huge pond, but it's I think you're going to see a lot of guys fishing around each other. What I'm going to try to do is just try to run and get myself away from everybody and just hope I get 5 bites, make the same old milk run I always make, and hopefully I'll get 5 bites a day.
Another angler who knows Eufaula well is Ron Ainsworth, and he too expects this tournament to be tough.
The lake about 2 weeks ago was up about 2 feet. They pulled it down, and now it's a foot low. The fish were shallow spawning, and they pulled the water out from underneath them. The fish are, like I say, are kind of scattered out. We got about 2.5 inches of rain west of here last night, and the lake is rising now. So the fishing may improve a little bit. The people that are fishing shallow may get a few good bites. If the fish will pull up a little bit for them with this rising water. It's pretty easy to catch you a limit. 8, 9, 10 pounds, but it's going to be that guy that gets the good bite every day to bump him up to about 12 pounds a day. I think it'll take about 24 pounds to win this tournament.
On the morning of day one, the weather is just about perfect. The kind of day that makes you glad to be out on the water, regardless how difficult the fishing may be. And the Pro-Am anglers know that unless conditions have miraculously changed overnight, they're all facing a tough day ahead. Ron Ainsworth heads straight to the area where he located fish in practice. But this morning, the bass are not behaving the way they had previously. The bass that hit a pop-R so regularly in practice are not active. And when they do hit it, Ainsworth can't seem to keep them hooked. Once it becomes clear that a topwater is not going to be the ticket, Ainsworth switches to pitching around boat docks. But unless things change dramatically, it could be a very long day indeed. Steve Wright has never won a Central Pro-Am tournament, but this morning he's located a concentration of bass that may be good enough to put him in contention. Wright's already caught 3 keepers and a number of smaller fish on a Carolina rig, and he's continuing to work the area thoroughly. Finally, he gets a strike from a solid bass. Carefully, he works it back to the boat where amateur partner Oscar Jones stands ready with the net. This bass makes 4 for Wright, and if he can get 1 more keeper, he seems certain to be among the Day 1 leaders. Joe Gundel is one of Central Pro-Am's best when it comes to catching bass in clear water. But today, he's proving he can come through in muddy water, too. Unfortunately, all the bass they're catching are small. Finally, Gundel hooks into a good one. However, when he gets the fish next to the boat, he realizes that this fish's whiskers will keep it from counting. By late morning, Ron Ainsworth has moved to the area that produced his impressive catches the year before. He's managed to land 3 keepers along a shallow flat, but all of them are small, so he decides to try a deep creek channel that often produces for him at this time of year. However, once he finds it, his fortunes do not improve. But it doesn't take long for amateur partner Kevin Kuhn to be off and running. When the Pro-Am anglers return to Eufaula Cove for the afternoon weigh-in, one of the first to weigh in is reigning Amateur Division Angler of the Year, Steve Plank. and he can testify about how tough the fishing is.
You finally win one of these things?
No, sir.
Not yet, huh? Well, I've been sort of absent. I don't know if you finally snuck one in or not. You've been Angler of the Year. Well, you're not going to win one like that.
You're right.
One bass, 2.15 pounds. How many others do you have on?
I caught a lot of swordfish.
Yeah. What'd you catch them on? Jig. Okay. Give it away, Stonewall. There it is. With one fish, nobody's going to fall for that trick, are they?
A short time later, Robert Heath takes the amateur division lead with 5.9 pounds. But he's soon overtaken by Pradco's Bill Jansen with 6.25 pounds. When the second flight finally arrives, Steve Enochs makes a run at Jansen's lead.
That 5 bass was called away. Good job, sir. 10.55 pounds. That's the new leader in the amateur division.
In the pro division, Walter Andrews takes the early lead with 5.85 pounds on the strength of this solid 4.5 pounder. Right behind Andrews is Jim Akins.
Got the limit. You find it pretty tough out there, or was it pretty easy?
No, it's real tough.
Real tough. This old weather's been coming in. Boy, here's going to be your leader, folks. Looky here. Look here. 12.10 pounds.
A short time later, Joe Benham makes a run at Akins' lead.
Well, I bet it's gone. What do you think, Butchie? Is it gone? Wrong. 12 pounds. Even that second place right now in the pro division.
Terry Thomas comes in with only 3 fish, but one is a 4-pounder, and he settles into third place with 9.4 pounds. Then Ron Ainsworth comes to the scales.
How many you got to go with it, Ron?
I got 4 total.
4 total? Well, yeah, but that one makes up for 2. That'd be about a limit, is what it amounts to. Leading the tournament right now. Who we got there? Jim Akins, 12.10 pounds. Let's go see what we got here. Double figures, yes, sir. Boy, you needed that 5th bass. Had him on twice, he says. Settle down. 11.30 pounds. Mark it.
The day did not go well for Jason Christie, who brings in only 1 bass that weighs 1.65 pounds. David Junk came all the way from Quincy, Illinois to fish this event, and he proves the drive was worth it.
Well, those are all good quality bass. Real close. Let's take a look and see. Going on up there. 11.20 pounds. Good job, David Junk, all the way from Quincy, Illinois.
Steve Wright never got his limit, but he has 4 fish that could move him into the top 10.
Whoa, looky here. Those are good fish. 4 bass. My goodness gracious. Watch out here. I can get to about that double figure mark, I believe. Real close. 9.70 pounds. Good job, Stephen.
Next is Wayne Diffie.
How many we got, buddy?
I got a limit.
Got a limit. I'll guarantee you. Look at here at all these pretty brown bass. I didn't know they had so many here.
There's some good ones in this lake.
I guess there are. Look at here. Look at here. Going on up to double figures. 10.70 pounds. Put your hands together. Wayne Diffie.
Then it's Jackie Davis.
Oh, looky here. Oh, wouldn't I love to see this hold up tomorrow. 12.10 pounds. Tie for first place right now in the pro division.
At the end of the first day, Jackie Davis and Jim Akins are tied for the lead with 12.1 pounds. Right behind them on the Lunker Lure Pro-Am scoreboard is Joe Benham with 12 pounds even, with Ron Ainsworth and David Junk less than a pound behind. In the rest of the top 10, it's just as tight. Jay Halsey holds down 6th place with 11 pounds, but Lance Williams, Wayne Diffie, Steve Wright, and David Bailey are all hot on his trail. In the amateur division, Steve Enochs holds the day 1 lead, and he has nearly a 3-pound edge over Kyle Triplett and Keith Bray, with Ken Petrie and Jerry Hickey rounding out the top 5. In the rest of the top 10, it's close all the way. Jim Kaywood is in 6th place with 6.35 pounds, followed by Bill Jansen, Robert Heath, Greg Lamb, and Bruce Simmons. Stay tuned for exciting Day 2 action. We'll be right back. The Pro-Am anglers awaken to find that Mother Nature has a surprise in store for them. The storm that was expected during the night was late in arriving, and as the time for takeoff approaches, it's closing in rapidly on Eufaula. Once the storm hits, Oklahoma's so-called gentle giant suddenly turns mean, and some of the Central Pro-Am anglers seek shelter in boat docks or protected coves. But others, like Wayne Diffie, elect to fish into the teeth of the storm, hoping the waves pounding the shoreline will turn the big fish on. As the center of the squall line hits, 40-mile-per-hour winds churn the water, and blinding rain pelts the Pro-Am anglers. Finally, the storm passes. Diffie manages to get strikes on a crankbait, but they're all small, and he knows the dramatic swings in barometric pressure could make today even tougher than day one. Although the storm didn't cause the big bass to bite where Diffie was, that's not true everywhere. Immediately after, Jim Akins and amateur partner Scott Dennis begin fishing the riprap near the US 69 bridge. Dennis can hardly believe his good fortune. He already won a Central Pro-Am tournament at Grand Lake of the Cherokees, and this one bass has immediately put him in contention here. Throughout the morning, Dennis continues to catch fish, but most of them are too short to keep, and they do nothing to help his cause. Akins, too, is catching bass, but they're also too short to keep, and Akins knows he'll have to find bigger ones than these if he's going to protect his day one lead. Jackie Davis was tied with Akins for the day one lead, and like Akins, he's struggling this morning. Davis is alternating between a jig and a tube bait, working them around brush piles near docks. So far this morning, Davis has yet to land a keeper, but he was expecting the day to be tough, so he sticks to his knitting, knowing that one or two good fish could be enough to carry him into the winner's circle. Around Lake Eufaula, Joe Benham is one of the best. Benham grew up near the lake, and he's been fishing it since it was impounded nearly 40 years ago. In fact, Benham may have spent more days on the lake than any man alive. However, that doesn't seem to be helping him this morning. If he's to have a chance at victory, he needs an alternate plan, quickly. Dave Barker is Central Pro-Am's all-time leading money winner with over $160,000. And today, you can see why. Barker ended day one 3 pounds behind Jim Akins and Jackie Davis. But today, they're both struggling, and Barker is relentlessly pursuing them. Today, he already has 2 keepers, and if he can come in with a limit, he might have enough to win his 7th Central Pro-Am title. Brent Chapman also knows what it takes to win. In 1994, he had the greatest year any Central Pro-Am angler has ever had, winning 2 regular season tournaments and the Ranger Mercury Pro-Am Championship. So far today, the fish he's catching are all small, but he's located an area where he's getting plenty of strikes, and if the bigger ones turn on, he could be hard to stop. Jay Halsey is one of Central Pro-Am's most consistent anglers, but he's never managed to win. He started the day in 6th place, only a pound out of the lead, and he knows that if he can come in with a 2nd straight limit, it might be enough to earn him his 1st Central Pro-Am title. When the Pro-Am anglers return to Eufaula Cove for the final weigh-in, the amateur division leader, Steve Enochs, comes to the scales.
Kid 1055, he's got 1 bass today that weighs 1.75 pounds. That's going to put you way in the lead right now. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, 12.30 pounds. Your leader in the amateur division, Steve Enochs.
Finally, just when Enochs' victory seems assured, Steve Plank comes to the scales.
Oh, got a 5-pounder kicker. Steve Enochs is leading this. Not anymore, my man says. Oh my goodness. Got the limit here. Get out of here. 13.85 pounds. Mark it. That's your new leader in the amateur division right there, Steve Plank.
In the pro division, Gary Carrier is one of the first to weigh in. He has 3 bass that total nearly 8 pounds, and he takes the pro division lead with 16.4 pounds. A short time later, Jackie Davis comes to the scales.
All the weight, 6.40 pounds, 6.40. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, 18.50 pounds, the new leader in the pro division, Jackie Davis.
Shortly after assistant tournament director Kenny Williams relieves Ernie Daughtery at the microphone, Terry Thomas comes to the scales. He has a 5-fish limit weighing 10.7 pounds that moves him into the Pro Division lead with 20.1 pounds. Finally, there's only one angler left who can overtake him, Jim Akins.
12.10 pounds yesterday. How many you got today?
I've got 3 fish.
Oh, my. Here we go. 6.50 pounds, mark it. What's that going to do for him? You beat Jackie, 18.60 pounds. That's second place right now.
It's in the record books now. Terry Thomas wins his 5th Central Pro-Am title with a 2-day total of 20.1 pounds. Right behind Thomas on the Lunker Lure Pro-Am scoreboard is Jim Akins with 18.6 pounds. Jackie Davis is only 1/10 of a pound behind Akins, while Tim Taylor and Dave Barker complete the top 5. In the rest of the top 10, Troy Akins leads the way in 6th place, followed by Gary Carrier, David Bailey, Jay Halsey, and Ron Ainsworth. In the amateur division, Steve Plank comes out of nowhere with the biggest stringer of the tournament to win his first Central Pro-Am title with 16 pounds even. Day 1 leader Steve Enox finishes 2nd with 12.3 pounds, followed by David Brewer, Scott Dennis, and David Calhoun. In the rest of the top 10, Jerry Rawlings leads the way in 6th place with 9.75 pounds, followed by Bob Jorgensen, Kenny Petrie, James Borer, and Mike Purse. Stay tuned for tournament winning tips from Terry Thomas. We'll be right back. Time for Tips from the Top. Techniques you can use to catch more fish. Brought to you by Ranger Boats, where they still build them one at a time.
I'll do this real quick. I caught my fish yesterday out of Gaines Creek, and I've got another little creek up here. I caught them on an Alron flipping jig yesterday, black and blue, 3/8 ounce with a number 11 Uncle Josh frog, and a 3-inch Bagley's Balsa B, a black and white one. And I didn't get any bites. It should have been a good day, but I just didn't get, I caught a lot of fish, but they were short yesterday. And today, I started in a little creek up here. I don't know the name of it. It goes back under the highway. I pulled in there yesterday, and my partner had caught a fish out of it, a keeper. So I thought I'd start there in the rain this morning, and I pulled in there, and my partner and I both caught a fish out of it today. And then the sun came out, and I ran back to Gaines Creek, and there weren't any bites, but you'd get one about every hour, hour and a half. And I caught 2 up there, flipping an Alron jig, and 2 on the Bagley's crankbait. And I'm just lucky that nobody else caught any. And one good thing about it, I think I weighed in 3 4-pounders in this tournament, and all 3 of those 4-pounders came on the crankbait. So that's probably what put me over the top.
About 30 minutes after this tournament ended, a tornado swept across Lake Eufaula. Fortunately, none of the Pro-Am anglers or anyone else was hurt, but I can assure you it's a tournament that they won't soon forget. We'll see you next week on the Fishin' Magazine television series.
The Fishin' Magazine television series is brought to you by Ranger Boats, where they still build them one at a time, so you can fish hard, run strong, and rest